All right, so the references, ASHA, American Speech Language Hearing Association, audiologists and speech language pathologists live and breathe with ASHA. That's our national governing organization. That's who when we are certified, that's who credentials us, says that we've met all of the standards to be a certified audiologist or a certified speech language pathologist. So if you are a certified audiologist or speech language pathologist, like I said, you've met a lot of rigor. So, but what's also nice is ASHA.org is the website to go to. They have a lot of great information, just even for the community. Super information for the community that they just share. Free, basically. You don't have to join, you don't have to pay anything to download brochures, pamphlets, so on and so forth. So they put out this quite a while ago now, but they keep it up to date. This says 2011, probably both of them, yeah. This information series, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of these with you because they're written briefly, they're an overview, but they have great content. I can add to the content. I can say, don't worry about that sort of content. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these. Okay. So your assignment, very first assignment I gave you was to come up with a definition for habilitation and rehabilitation. And I keep flip-flopping those, so it's just being schizophrenic. It doesn't really matter what order we say that in. So like I said, your first assignment was to work on the definition for that. So hopefully you started your homework and you're looking at the definition. So, what? Yes?
The Canvas calendar doesn't have that due till...
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So here's haven't done it yet, don't worry, it's okay. Yeah, it wasn't due today.
Okay.
It was not due today. But so I'm going to talk about both of those in a practice now. So rehabilitation used in a practice as a whole is really going to be helping our clients live with their hearing loss. So this is mainly done with adults. The whole idea of rehabilitation means that the skill has already been acquired. It was acquired at some point or another through the developmental process of just growing up. But something, quote unquote, happened and that skill was lost. And so we're going to give it back to them. So in our case, it's hearing loss. So helping our clients live with their hearing loss. How are these services provided? They're typically done in a clinical practice. They can be done individually or in a small group. It's nice to have small group so that the participants can talk to each other and relate to each other with their hearing loss and that. So the kinds of topics that are usually brought up when we do rehab on our clients, we're going to talk to them, explain their hearing loss. We're going to give them an understanding of their hearing loss, the impact of their hearing loss. How does it impact them? They're going to learn about, if they're fit with hearing aids, learn about the function, if that's what we recommend, our hearing aids, how they function. They're going to learn to listen again. We're going to give them tips about communication, what hearing aids can and cannot do, and we're going to come up with a support group. So now I'm going to go through each one of these individually. Okay. Here we go.
Is this
Yes.
on Canvas?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Because I know
should.
a lot of us are frantically trying to.
I know, that's what I'm like, you
Wait a
really, it's
second.
on there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And you can bring laptops. I don't have an issue with laptops. And or iPads or whatever in class. As long as you're on the class and not Facebook. And there's enough of you that I have about 70 students, I love this. This is a real treat for me. I actually get to know you guys because my class at Eastern, I have 70 students, and it's in an auditorium style seating. And so if I'm talking about, something really serious, and there's that student in the background going, I don't think they're paying attention to what I'm talking about. They're probably on Facebook. So there's usually clues whether you're attending or not. So you guys, oh, never mind. So you guys don't have any excuses. All right, like I said, the first thing we're going to do is explain their hearing loss to them. We're going to go over the type of hearing loss they have, whether it's medically treatable or not. Some hearing losses are treatable, some are not. So that's the first thing that they probably want to know about after, do I have a hearing loss? Yes or no? Yes, you have a hearing loss. Okay, so is there anything I can do about it? Is the physician going to be able to give me a prescription? Or is it going to require a surgery? Okay, yes, no, those are their questions. Okay. How bad is my hearing loss? To me, it doesn't seem that bad, but my wife keeps bugging me, saying I can't hear. So how bad is it really? What can I hear and what can I not hear? We're going to explain to our clients. So this is a very typical audiogram. So an audiogram is just a map of somebody's hearing. Has anybody ever seen an audiogram before? A lot of you haven't then? Okay, well I'll be teaching you as well, but just as kind of a face value there, that is an audiogram. Real quick, the red circle is what you can hear with your right ear. The lowest tone that you can hear with your right ear. But we hear, overall, I'm sure you're aware, we hear a huge range of frequencies. Huge range. But we don't test for every single frequency that we can hear. Okay, the blue X is the left ear. So this is what these marks represent is the lowest that somebody can hear across each frequency. A little quick, and this is exactly how I do counsel my clients, because they're just like you, they've probably never seen an audiogram before, or only maybe one or two their whole life. So the first thing we do is we show them that this is the frequency range that we test for here. These are the low-pitched sounds, the mid-range, and the high-pitched sounds. So it's just easier. I'll do it across the bottom. Okay. 0, audiograms are like the weirdest graph ever, because going down on the graph is poor, not better. 0 in hearing, in audiology, is perfect. Usually we see a 0 and no. 0 is perfect. It's perfect hearing. So of all of these marks, we're up at 0 for each one of these tones. The individual would have perfect hearing across the frequencies that we test for. The farther down on the scale the marks are, the louder we had to make it for them to hear it. So in other words, the more hearing loss they have. Okay, so right away, you can see several things. This individual, the overall pattern is pretty much the same in both ears. The left ear is a little bit poorer in the high frequencies than the right. And their overall, these here are not that far from 0. So these low frequencies are better than the high frequencies. Question?
Have you ever seen one where it's above 0?
No. I mean, it might be a teensy bit above 0, but not much. Because what they did, they came up with 0 by averaging a whole bunch of young people with healthy ears, and they saw how quiet they could make it. And then they said, okay, we'll call it 0. So they averaged it together. So yeah, there's a few people. But frankly, if we test somebody and they hear it at 0, we don't go below 0 anyway. It doesn't matter. We're not proving anything. Question?
What do the trifles mean? I noticed the dashes. and
The little
lines.
carrots?
Yeah.
We're actually going to talk about a lot of that. That's just a way we test, a method of testing. That helps us ferret out what type of hearing loss somebody has, our different test methods.
Oh,
Okay? So right off the bat, we can explain to our clients that you're going to miss high frequency sounds. You can hear low frequency sounds better. Why do they care about that?
because your wife's voice is high pitched.
Exactly. She said, because your wife's voice is high pitched.
Maybe that's why he can't hear it, because he hears it so much.
They like to call that selective listening.
Yes.
But there is a reason for it. Why do I hear my buddies better than my wife or girlfriend? It's the pitch of their voice, what frequency their voice is in. How about if they said something like, I can hear they're talking, people are talking, but I can't understand. Everybody sounds like they're mumbling. I hear that complaint all the time from clients. Because think speech sounds now. Low frequencies, the speech sounds that are low in frequency are vowels. A, E, A, U. Okay? The consonant sounds in speech are high frequency. S, sh, sh. Okay? Conversation. So this individual is not deaf per se, as far as degree in the high frequencies. That would be way down here in the 90 decibel range. But they are, quote unquote, almost deaf to conversation, to high frequency conversation. Because I'm talking probably about, I'm being an audiologist, I talk loud. But normal conversation comes in at about 55, 60 decibels right here. So about halfway on the audiogram. Okay. So an individual who has this much loss can barely hear the speech sounds in conversation. So words to them like chair might sound like air or dare or where or tear or fair. Okay. Notice you're hearing the air, 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 but what really makes one word different from another are those consonant sounds. This individual is not hearing that. So when all you hear the the o, the o, the vowel, the e, the ahs, it sounds like people are mumbling. Okay? So what is audible? What can they hear? That's a fancy term for that, but I want you to learn that. And what they cannot hear. So by the time we've gone over this with them, they're like, oh, okay, now I understand what I can hear and not hear. That's why I'm missing my wife's voice, but I can hear my buds better. Okay, lots more. So understanding their hearing loss. And that is, so you have this sheet that I posted. So this is, we call these self-assessment questionnaires. A lot of individuals don't really realize the impact that their hearing is having on themselves. They don't really realize how much they're missing. Another great use is to give it to the significant other who's trying to communicate with them, a spouse. Okay? They're going to answer them entirely different. So, are you missing any conversations in large groups? No, I pretty much hear from the spouse. Yeah. Okay, Carmen was calling your name like 3 times, and I finally nudged you before you looked up and heard her. Oh. Okay. 2 different perspectives, basically. So it's really to help them have an understanding of how much impact their hearing loss is having on themselves and others. too. And it's not really meant to be a beat up session on the clients, like, well, you didn't hear this, you don't hear that. It's just to help them have an awareness of how much maybe they're changing their life because of their hearing loss. Are they not attending meetings? Are they not or did they stop going to church because the minister refuses to wear a microphone and I don't hear it anyway, so why should I go? Okay, so individuals start pulling themselves back from events and they might not even realize it. So it's kind of just to make them really, like I said, aware of the impact of their hearing loss. Okay, so we're going to teach them that their hearing is very individual. And so we do describe, hearing aids are not one size fits all, not in the least. So it's not only prescriptive for their loss, but because of questionnaires and things like that, and just talking to our clients, we're going to find out what situations they really want to hear better in. And we're going to tailor, we're going to prescribe it, the hearing aid, to those to help in those particular situations. Okay? We're going to teach them not only that the hearing aid is very individual, but we're going to teach them just kind of the everyday maintenance of their hearing aid, how to check the batteries, how to put it in their ear, how to clean it. We're going to be giving them so much information right off the bat that they really do need to follow up. Excuse me. We're going to have them back 2 or 3 times till they're comfortable with everything that they've been learning about their hearing aid. We're going to make a plan based on, what they've told us. What are 3 areas that you really want to improve in, listening-wise? We're going to make a plan. We're going to give them homework. Okay. I want to hear my wife better around the house. Okay, so here's your homework. Is to not speak to each other from different rooms. Make the rule that you have to have eye contact, before you tell them what you want to say. Okay? So you're going to give things like that. You're going to give them homework. If you're going to have a conversation, you have it. You don't have the dishwasher running in the background. You don't have the TV running in the background, and you don't have music going on in the background. These are your homework situations. Okay? There's even, if somebody's very tech savvy, that sort of thing, there's even software programs that they can buy into to help them learn to listen again. Okay. Hearing aids can't always do it all by any stretch of the imagination, especially when there's distance involved. The microphone to a hearing aid is right there. Okay? So whatever is closest to the microphone on a hearing aid is what's going to be heard the best. So think of a classroom. Think of you guys right here. So if you were wearing a hearing aid, but your neighbor there is typing away, you're going to hear all those little keyboard strikes way better than my voice, because that's, 2 feet away, a foot away, but my voice is 6 feet away. Okay? So how do we improve that? Okay, there's devices that do that will help with that. Theaters, the Civic Theater, yes, but the IMB Performing Arts Center has not only one assistive device in there, but 2. It's great, and I'll teach you what those are. And I would teach a client what they are. Okay, maybe they need an amplifier. Maybe some individuals, I have had individuals where I have not prescribed hearing aids for. For the situation that you're telling me that you need help in, a hearing aid is not going to do it. You need this instead. And you're like, really? Oh, okay. I just need to hear the TV better. You don't need to spend $5,000 on hearing aids. You can spend $200 on a really nice amplifier for the TV, if that's the only situation you really want to improve on. Okay, so on and so forth. We'll keep going. Then lastly, like I said, is you want to hook them up with a support group. Did I hear you guys talking about Nexus?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you know about Nexus. I was on the board there for like 6 years. I'm not on the board any longer. So it's a great place to hook individuals up to. And then the Hearing Loss Association of America is the national organization. It's great. These are active links. So if you download the PowerPoint on your computer and then put it into slideshow mode, these will be active links for you to check them out. That's a great site. And then there's the Spokane chapter as well. I guess I didn't make the Spokane chapter an active link, but there is a link you can follow to get to the Spokane chapter on the main link. So anyway, you want to hook your clients up to part of a rehabilitation program would be to hook your clients up to a support group. Yes, question.
So is Spokane chapter, is it supposed to be a big one?
So the
Is it by
Hearing
itself?
Loss Association of America is the national, and there is a Spokane chapter of the Hearing Loss Association. The link goes to the national organization. Okay, so that, oh yeah, I forgot to put this question in there. So I put in my little statement that my husband has, I guess probably about a third, I haven't tested it lately, 25, 30, at least a 30 decibel hearing loss. So as a family member, what is the most annoying word that he could say?
What?
So what is the most annoying word a family member can say to somebody with a hearing loss? Yeah, it's true. Like,
Or what did they say?
What?
what?
What did they say? Or
What?
can we rewind that to see what they were saying again?
That's
That's what I
right.
get all the time.
Oh, yes. Well, I can hook you up. Because, drives me nuts. So, yeah, I got my own husband a device for hearing the TV. He loves it for movies. Whew. I no longer have to be the human hearing aid. It's
My dad
wonderful.
has hearing aids that he has a little thing
A
that's
streamer.
yeah,
Yep,
and then
Bluetooth
he has
streamer.
one hooked up to the TV and
Transmitter.
to his phone. So he'll just be talking all the time on the phone or watching TV.
Super. Somebody hooked him up well.
Yep.
Okay.
DA.
Yay. All right, so oral rehab for children. Not oral rehab. How about oral habilitation for children? So that means, okay, so we said first off with adults, they had the skill. They had speech, language, listening, exposure. They had the skill, but they lost it. Okay, with children, they don't have it. So we're talking more like a child under the age, well, when language is kind of really solidified, so to speak, is more around the age of 7. So this would be under the age of 7. So it's habilitate. We're giving them the listening, the speech, language skill. We're giving them the skill. We're going to take advantage of the natural developmental process, milestones. Okay. So hearing loss for children has a lot to do, can have an effect, definitely, a huge effect. Those effects depend on certain things, conditions, timing. When did the hearing loss show up? How old were they? Were they born with the loss? Is it congenital? Congenital means if it was present at birth. I'll just throw this out. Congenital is not a type of loss, it's a time stamp. Congenital means it's present at birth. That's a big kicker to me. A big rub. Okay. Age of identification. How long did it take to identify the loss? The age of identification has come down significantly thanks to newborn hearing screening. Identifying a hearing loss before the child's ever left the hospital. So there's parents in here.
Yep.
You had your hearing screen in the hospital, yes, but did your children have their hearing screen? Awesome. Of course they did. Yay.
First day.
There you go.
All
Yep.
3 of them. I think they do them on the first day now.
Yeah. As we try to time it for as long as we can, yet
Yeah.
before they go home. So age of identification, if the child refers in the hospital, we have them back to try to catch it. That's not enough. So we identify the loss, we know it's there. How long did it take to get into a program? Into an intervention program? I identified, it's my little horror story. It's a personal one. I identified at the NICU, a deaconess, a child before they ever left. So this child has a loss. Definitely has a loss, need follow up, follow up, follow up. Okay? Let's make some appointments, so on and so forth. There was a lot of other issues. The child, that was kind of the child was not a good eater. Okay, so there was just failure to thrive issues. There was a lot of social issues. The child didn't even end up going home with mom, went home with grandma. So there's social issues. I mean, issues come up, right? Okay, so the hearing loss kind of got, oh, by the way, okay. I saw this child, we have a clinic at Eastern, in the clinic at 15 months. So almost a year and a half later, they come in and going, I know that name. It was on my schedule. I tested that child. The child has a severe to profound loss. I was heartbroken because that child had gone almost a year and a half with no exposure, very, very little exposure, because their loss was below conversation. They were deaf to conversation. Okay? And I told them before they ever left the hospital that there was an issue.
And you didn't do anything about it.
No. It just got, like I said, there was other bigger issues to them. Yeah. So age of intervention is huge. All the work that we do in identification means nothing if we don't get them into a program. It means nothing. So that's huge. Okay. Exposure to language through sign language, oral, whatever. So the degree of loss really isn't that huge of a deal if those first three things happen and in a very appropriate time fashion. So there have been studies, huge studies, profession-changing studies showing that if a child is identified within, a concrete identification by 3 months of age, a child who's born with their loss. If we have solidified the diagnosis by the time they're 3 months of age, they are in an intervention program by the time they are 6 months of age, they will have normal speech and language by the time they are 5 years of age. They can acquire it naturally like all the other children. But those first three things, the first two things, well, we have to identify it and we have to get them in a program, has to happen within the first 6 months. And the degree of loss isn't even that big of a deal. Okay, pattern of loss, same idea. If we put if everything happens timely, it doesn't have to be a big deal either. Okay, but just know, like that pattern that I showed you of the other audiogram, we hear huge range of frequencies, but loss doesn't have to be equally across all of them. Might have a loss for some low-pitched sounds or high-pitched sounds, hear some better than others. Okay? All right. So we want to take advantage of we call it the residual hearing, the hearing that they do have still. What can we access? We call that residual hearing. Can we get access to it through hearing aids, through maybe even a cochlear implant? And we need to teach them that there is sound there. That's the very first step. You're taking a lot of your hearing for granted, even if you do have lost hearing as an adult, say. That there was one point in your life you didn't even know that sound was there or not there. It's like, oh, now I hear it, now I don't. We have to teach a child that. This is sound, this is not sound. Identify and attach meanings to sound. Okay, see this cute little thing right here, 4 legs and a tail and fur? It goes woof woof. Okay, that sound, woof woof, is a dog. It's dog. Woof woof means dog. Okay? Okay? Differentiate between sounds. This woof woof versus meow. This is a dog, this is a cat. You have to solidify that in the brain. They have to be taught that, be exposed to that. That's all called auditory training. Then they need to discriminate between words. So we go from sounds to words. This is the word for cup. This is the word for mommy. Okay, cup, mommy. We teach them the association now with words. Okay, so that's all called auditory training. We have to somehow use something for them to be able to perceive sound. Cochlear implant, hearing aid, get them to perceive sound.
So after they perceive the sound, like around 5 or whatever, do they still need?
No, as soon as we can get them. I mean, they can perceive that sound as soon as we get them.
And do
hooked
they
up.
continue with like therapy?
They're going to grow, right? These are kind of the first steps that we're going to take them through. And then once we get to the discriminate between words stage, then we can discriminate language and build on their word acquisition. Okay, so let me see if we can get through. So we go from speech sounds to language. Are you okay being a couple more minutes? Okay. So speech and language are two different things. Speech sounds that's just it. They're the speech sounds. They're s, ch, e, oo. Those are sounds. We call those phonemes. So this little squiggly thing, we call, the letter name for that is an S. That's a sh or a s. Actually, excuse me, that's a s. That's a phoneme. Oops, got a little too carried away. Okay. That's a phoneme. We worry about how the speech sounds. Can we make speech sounds audible? Then language. Language is huge. Okay. Language has order to it. It has rules. Syntax are the rules. That's kind of a fancy term for grammar. Okay. Pragmatics. How we use language. You walk in the room, you say, hey, how you doing? Turn taking with language. It's not all talking, it's not all listening. We take turns, it's give and take. Those are rules that you can learn naturally, but for some individuals with hearing loss, these we're going to have to teach them. So this is all the part of the habilitation process, the teaching them the process. And lots of vocabulary. I'll just say one more quick thing about receptive expressive. You cannot expect a child to say anything, use language, particular order or words until they understand it. It's not going to come out of their mouth until they have it internally. So the internal part of language is receptive language. The speaking it is called expressive language. I think we're almost there. We're going to teach them that they're going to grow up. They're not going to stay 3 to age of 2 or that forever. We're going to teach them when they go to school that if they're in a classroom, they have an assistive device that the teacher hasn't turned it on. They need to learn to, teacher, can you turn it on? To be their own best advocate. And could you dim the lights? Or could you turn the lights on? I can't read your lips in the dark. Could you not write on the board and talk at the same time? I can't see your lips. Okay. And we also want them to learn to take care of their hearing aids too, for themselves. Okay, I think that's, well, sorry, we're going to be part of a team. So there's others, I forgot it was the last one. We're going to work with a ton of different people, a ton of different individuals. We're just going to be one. And really it's the same individuals. I was just putting in there that when they turn 3, that it's considered an educational plan as opposed to a family plan. heard about that, or you will learn about that as well. All right, I think that's it. Yay!
Yeah.
All right, let me, do you guys have any, you want to stick around, have any questions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to the walk today?
Of course I am.